May 31st, 1926. The British freighter Nisbet Grammer was steaming through a fog bank on Lake Ontario, about 30 miles from the shore of Somerset, New York. Several hours earlier, she departed Buffalo, New York with a load of grain bound for Montreal. At the same time, another vessel, the Canadian Freighter Dalwarnic, was also sailing through the same dense fog bank as the Grammer. But little did the Grammer's crew know that soon they would be on a direct collision course with the Dalwarnic, and their ship would end up at the bottom of Lake Ontario. Before we continue, if you are a fan of this channel, I highly recommend that you check out the Top Impressive Line merch store. There, you will find t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and much more to show off your support of this channel. Plus, we're adding more to the store all the time. Go check it out at top-impressive.creator-spring.com or use the link in the description. And now, back to the video. As of this video's release, both the St. Lawrence Seaway and Welland Ship Canal can handle vessels a maximum of 740 feet in length and 78 feet in width. However, in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, even several decades before the St. Lawrence Seaway was opened in 1959, ships were still traversing the area between the Great Lakes and the North Atlantic Ocean. Back then, the maximum length for ships to sail through the locks on the St. Lawrence River was less than 300 feet in length and less than 60 feet wide. Even today, many ships that navigate the Great Lakes are confined to the larger forelakes. Many of them are unable to even go through the Welland Ship Canal to reach Lake Ontario because of their size, let alone even reach the Atlantic Ocean. That's why if you stand on the shores of the St. Lawrence Seaway today, most of the ships you see passing by are ocean-going vessels, also known as salties. Only a handful of them are actual lakers, and if they are most likely Seaway Max vessels, meaning that they are the maximum size to be able to fit through the locks on the St. Lawrence Seaway and Welland Ship Canal, although the Welland Ship Canal is actually considered part of the St. Lawrence Seaway. And one of those ships, designed to sail through the St. Lawrence Seaway in the early 20th century, would meet her own fate just a few years into her service. Laid down at the Camel Laird Shipyard in Birkenhead, England on February 22, 1923, the Nisbet Grammer was built as a canal freighter, designed to traverse the St. Lawrence Seaway to reach the Great Lakes. You see, at the time, the grain trade on the Great Lakes often required vessels to sail through the St. Lawrence Seaway. Most of the vessels on the route were built by Canadian shipyards on the lakes, while a few were built overseas and sent over to the Great Lakes. One other notable vessel that served the same route was the grain carrier Bannockburn, which mysteriously disappeared on Lake Superior in November of 1902. I have a video about the Bannockburn if you want to learn more. Anyways, the Nisbet Grammer was one of those freighters designed to transport materials through the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Seaway. She was launched on April 12, 1923, and was put into service later that year. After her completion, she was sent to the Great Lakes, where she would spend the next 3 years transporting cargo throughout the region. On May 31st, 1926, the Grammer, now 3 years old, departed Buffalo, New York with a load of grain bound for Montreal. She then sailed through the Welland Ship Canal and reached Lake Ontario. As the Grammer entered Lake Ontario and made her way towards the St. Lawrence River, another ship was sailing through the same area in which they were about to sail through, the Canadian freighter Dalwarnic. The Dalwarnic was also steaming across Lake Ontario at approximately 4:30 a.m. on May 31st. A dense fog surrounded both freighters. The crew of the Grammer reduced the ship's speed as the fog built over them. In the dense fog, neither vessels could see each other. The crew of the Grammer could only hear the faint sound of the Dalwarnic's foghorn. For the next hour, the fog continued to thicken, until 5:30 a.m., when the crew on the bridge of the Grammer could hear the sound of a foghorn literally in their path. And soon they saw the Dalwarnic streaming straight towards them. The captain ordered the ship to turn hard to starboard to avoid being struck by the Dalwarnic, but at that point it was too late. Collision was inevitable. Just a few minutes after the two ships were in sight of one another, the Dalwarnic struck the Grammer on the port side near the stern. The Dalwarnic had also struck the Grammer's boiler rooms, the most vulnerable part of the ship. The crew of the Grammer knew that they didn't have long before their ship would be at the bottom of the lake, so they deployed a few of the ship's lifeboats, and the Dalwarnic launched a few of its lifeboats as well. Not much information exists about what happened during the sinking, but just 15 minutes after the collision, the Nisbet Grammer sank stern first and dipped below the surface. Fortunately, all of the crew of the Grammer made it off the ship and onto the Dalwarnic. The wreck of the Nisbet Grammer was discovered in August of 2014 by a group of researchers. She was found 30 miles from Somerset, New York, in over 500 feet of water at the bottom of Lake Ontario. As of this video, she remains the largest shipwreck at the bottom of Lake Ontario. As for the Dalwarnic, she continued service on the lake for the next several years until she was requisitioned by the government to serve in the Second World War, in which she would leave the Great Lakes. Luckily, she survived the war, and in 1946, she was sold to the Swedish government and renamed the Selkirk, before she was finally scrapped in 1967 after nearly 46 years of service. In the end, while there were no casualties when the Nisbet Grammer went down, she was still a horrible disaster on the Great Lakes that should never be forgotten. And as I mentioned earlier, she is currently the largest shipwreck on Lake Ontario. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll never miss any new uploads from this channel. And if you would like to show off your support for this channel, feel free to check out the Top Impressive merch store, linked in the description. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.